Good morning. Good morning, traders. How's everyone? I hope you had a nice Monday, as good as Mondays can get. Um, you can see my screen, hopefully, and hear me fine.
Looking good and hear you loud and clear.
All right, Mr. Kyle. Uh, Great overview this morning, as usual. So, no numbers to shake up, uh, nothing to speak of to shake up the markets bit. Um, a bit of a sideways price overlap here in the overnight session. Let's just take a look at the ES to start with. So here's the US session, right? Asia kind of inside, right between the pivot here and previous US session highs. And then so the Europe session went up, hit the rim, came back down, and doing a little bit of a bigger move. We got down to the bottom of the value area from the overnight or the US session, right? So if I do this real quick, just to highlight it. So this was the value area from the US session. So you can see we're maintaining a kind of a balance for the time being. And I would say if we take out the US session or the overnight highs, that is right around 56.17-ish, then we can continue to move higher. Now the market's climbing the wall of worry, as you could say it's slowly moving higher, but doesn't mean that we have to stop. We could have another move up, and good chance that if we take out 56.17, we get up to this high volume node right around 39, 56.39, where the market kind of fell apart right here, right? And started another move down. So not earth shaking, market's moving slow, but it's trying to heal at the moment, which we could get another push to the upside after the opening. My pivot comes in at this 55.95, which is roughly the daily EMA, right? If just to take a different look at this, let's take a look at a daily with a bar chart for those that look at bar charts, right? We're still into this uptrend. All we did is come back or come down previous couple of days and test the bottom of the channel. Now that's textbook, but everybody's looking at that, right? So, and of course, if we get back below that low, in fact, 55, 43 to 44 is the even more so important for me because that's the low of the 30-minute, I'm sorry, the 30 low moving average on the daily, right? Okay. My pivot comes in, it just so happens right here at the daily EMA as well. So they just happen to be at the same place. So if we get back below, let me just do this for a second. If we get back below this pivot again, uh, good chance we're going to take out the overnight lows, get right around that 55.87, 55.88, which is the previous month highs, and we'll come back and start to trend down to the dark side, right? Uh, Today's the kind of day we're just going to let the market drag us in because we could take out the highs and get a bigger push. If they take out this 55.88, the overnight lows, which is last month's high again, and was very pivotal yesterday, we can move to the other side. Currently, we're trying to balance, so you can't really make too much of it and get too excited. All right, let's take a look at the crude. I think the crude's on its way to, come back and continue lower. It's already moving lower. You can see right now we're just about ready to take out the previous US session lows. And I think we get below 77.5, let's just call it. We're on our way. There's not too much to stop it below. 76.75 is the next level. So we could continue. This was a pretty big thrust lower. We couldn't even get into these single prints from this previous on Friday's downdraft. So the market's a little bit on the heavy side right now. This was a trap up here. We had two traps here where the highs were made on the overnight session, and this let me just do this here. This was the second time here this failed during the US session, and then we came down. We came back up and did the same thing. Double tested up there on the overnight session, and then of course the US session failed again, and that's why we had this big failure. I think that's one of the reasons that the market did get excessive. It started to break, but it just you got all these longs up here and longs up here just puking down here and really getting some traction. So let's keep an eye on this crude. I would be in the sell rallies mode unless we get back above 78.28, which is the pivot. It's the point of control from the US session from yesterday. It's the bottom of the value area from the overnight. It's right around this low, and it's a kind of a high volume bump. So should continue to push lower in this crude. We'll keep an eye on it and see if we can pick up some trades. All right, we have all day. This gold is hovering around this area here, which is where the market took off, right? So the previous US session low comes in right on this inside pocket, and it held for the time being. Now, I don't know yet at this point that we're going to come out of this, but we're trying to balance. We're getting pretty much some price overlap. This red is like the souvlaki stick right through the middle of this little coil. So you can't, predict which way it's going to go on a coil. I think if we get above 24.15, then you can see the market start to lift. Flip side, they can't even get up there and they get back below this 2400 level, which is just a huge number in general, psychological 2402. We'll test the pivot 2395, which is a big level. You could see over here, it's previous low from Friday, and the overnight lows all the way over here back on the 12th. I mean, we pretty much bounced off this level previous. So now if we come back and we take it out, we're probably going for a full retest of that 2385, 84 area. All right. Next one. Oh, we've got this EC. The EC is on its way to push lower. We have a gap below. I don't see why it's going to stop at this point. It's got some momentum, but I think we'll trade into the gap. I don't know how far we're going to go, but it's probably going to continue. My pivot is way up here. This is a bigger level as far as the pivot. That's where the market could come back and do it another pop, but I don't think we're getting there. The market's pushing down pretty good. 109, 11 to 12 is my pivot, but this is important here. This 108.82. It's right around the overnight lows, but it's also the daily EMA, and it's a level from previous that a good flip zone. So I would use this as the pivot at currently. I do feel we're going to get down to this blue area, this brown area, which is the gap, and I think we can get into the gap. I don't know how far we're going to go, but the bottom of the gap comes in at around 108.64. Very possible we first poke into it, and then they might try to fill this cave because we also have a gap, right? Let me just fill this in. Now from the high of today, the US session high, right? And from the US session low, right around 109.02. So we've got a gap above and a gap below. I think we'll push into the gap below first, and let's see how far we can go. But that's the short-term trend at the moment. All right. All right. The bonzos, right? The bonzos, this area right here is uh pretty important. You can see going back here, we had a balancing act, right? And so that's like between 114 and 122, and that's kind of where we're playing. Uh, I'm sorry, 1814 to 22. That's where this held up, and this was the point of control from yesterday. And we left this big cave, right? And we looked at this cave, but didn't even come back into it. The overnight session came into the cave, right? And right now we're doing some filling in as well in the US session. Now, there's a gap above 119.11, which we might try to take that out. We have a poor high currently in the bonds from this morning. And so the playground is the inside of the cave, and that would be the pivot, the point of control at 118.26. Below that, we do a full retest of the lows, I think, right around 118.14. And then above 119.10, we get into this above the overnight highs, into the top part of the cave, which there might be a little bit of an updraft, and we push them up to 119, 119.19 and fill the gap. All right. So that's the bonds. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what's going on over there. Not too much, probably. We were kind of slow moving. Bring this up. And here's the 5-minute ES. You could see we had a nice little push down. Came back, a little bear flag, just from kind of a bear flagish kind of one ABC. And we pushed right into the pocket. So that might be it for that first time down. And we'll see. We're in an area where, like I said, basically the overnight highs and lows would be a breakout for me. Currently, we're trying to balance, so nothing too big here. And you can see what's going on in this crude. The crude's continuing to push lower. Gold is trying to get back down a little bit and maybe test previous US session lows. So we got about 13 minutes to go. I'm going to keep my powder dry unless I really see something before the opening, and we'll have some rock and roll. It's going to be slow moving for probably the indices and a couple of markets. The crude might be the one that, might have more of the moves, but I will be here, and we'll rock and roll. Okay, so see ya in about 15 minutes.